All right, with that, let me just open it up for questions. Go ahead.
On the church decision, do you feel this will put the issue behind you politically, or do you feel it will persist? And having done this now, do you wish you had done it several months ago?
Well, after the National Press Club episode, as I said, I had a long conversation with Michelle and also had a long conversation with Reverend Moss, and we prayed on it. My interest has never been to try to politicize this or put the church in a position where it is subject to the same rigors and demands of a presidential campaign. My suspicion at that time, and Michelle, I think, shared this concern, was that it was going to be very difficult to continue our membership there so long as I was running for president. And, the recent episode with Father Pfleger, I think, just reinforced that view that, we don't want to have to answer for everything that's stated in a church. On the other hand, we also don't want a church subjected to the scrutiny that a presidential campaign legitimately undergoes. I mean, that's, I don't want Reverend Moss to have to look over his shoulder and see if his sermon vets or if it is potentially problematic for my campaign or will attract the fury of a cable program, and so I have no idea how it will impact my presidential campaign, but I know that it's the right thing to do for the church and for our family.
How will that not be different when you join another church?
Well, it raises an interesting question, and I haven't answered this. I haven't figured out exactly how this is managed. Obviously, I think in whatever church you join, there are going to be things that the pastor says or a guest pastor says that you don't agree with. Not all of them may be as offensive as some of the statements that my former pastor made, and which I thoroughly rejected. But, it's not infrequent, for example, if you go into a church and a comment is made that suggests, for example, an aversion to gays and lesbians. That's something that I do not believe in. And, if I heard that from the pulpit, I would strongly object to it. That's an extreme example, but there might be other examples of somebody who has a view on foreign policy or a view on domestic policy with which I disagree with. My hope would be that I'm going to be able to create some separation between the experience I have as a church member and what's being preached from the pulpit. But I recognize that when you're a presidential candidate, you're in a different circumstance, and it's something that I think Michelle and I are going to have to sort through.
Do you think it'll be possible for you to join another black church or historically black church, or do you think that as a matter of do you think that political correctness is going to be an issue in this election, and that'll be a factor in the racial mix of the church that you join?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, I do think that, and I said this earlier, that there is a different religious tradition or a worshiping style in some of the historically African American churches and other churches. But I'm confident that we're going to be able to find a church that we feel comfortable with and that will reflect our concerns and our values. But I do think that there is a cultural and a stylistic gap that has come into play in this issue.
Senator Obama, there's a lot of speculation